stay connected with the world through WION. Like the page on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter for new alerts. Instagram for videos and images. And the website for the latest news, views and analysis. WIONews.com. World is one.
Gravitas tells you stories which others won't. And tonight we will tell you about this new strategic map that is being drawn.
They say your enemy's enemy is your friend. Is that the foundation of the new defense bridge between India and America?
This is what separates us from others who claim to be telling you global stories that matter. In the last 3 days, WION has been traveling across Syria. You are in Latakia city right now. Tell us, what is the situation on ground? At Gravitas, we don't just tell you stories from selected countries from around the world.
2 years since the Myanmar military coup, the people of Myanmar continue to live in a nightmare.
Because it does not suit their propaganda, or because they are too scared to speak truth to power.
The stress of our world can take a toll on our physical and emotional health. Here, in New York's Catskill Mountains, lies a luxurious place of healing called WION Wellness Center. The WION Wellness Center provides 500,000 square feet of natural methods to manage diabetes.
Problems mount for UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak as Labour leader launches a series of attacks in the form of adverts. Fresh strike action by junior doctors in UK, all set to become the most disruptive in NHS history. Unrest in Northern Ireland ahead of Biden's visit in the region. Tune in to WION World is One at these times.
Many other
A warm welcome to WION. You're with me, Katie Pilbeam, for the next half an hour, broadcasting live from the British capital. Let's get to your headlines. As the Biden administration scrambles to contain the fallout from a leak of classified papers, reports now emerge that a pro-Russian hacking group may have targeted Canada's energy infrastructure. The Philippines and the United States launched their largest ever joint military exercises as the long-standing allies seek to counter growing Chinese assertiveness in the region. The air forces of India and US conduct the COPE India exercise at the Kalakunda Air Base in West Bengal, with Japan as an observer. The exercise will see intense air maneuvers aimed at improving interoperability. Three former Twitter employees, including the ex-CEO of the company, have filed a lawsuit against Elon Musk-owned social media company for failing to reimburse more than $1 million in personal legal expenses. Thick sandstorms hit China's capital, Beijing, enveloping the city in a layer of thick grey dust. Beijing authorities issue a yellow alert, the third highest of China's four-tier colour-coded weather warning system. In Colombia, hundreds evacuated as ash begin to spew out of a deadly volcano. The threat of the volcano has loomed since the end of March, when the number of daily tremors within the volcano shot up from 50 to 12,000. First to our top story this hour. The UK's Labour Party has upped the ante against the Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. Well, the main opposition party has launched a series of advertisements targeting Sunak's wife, Ashata Murthy. Well, the ad against Sunak's wife is a fourth in a row of ads questioning her for using non-domiciled status to minimise her tax bill. Akshata Murthy is the daughter of Infosys founder Narayana Murthy and is accused of saving millions of dollars on her UK tax bill by claiming non-domiciled status. Well, this is when Sunak was serving as the UK Chancellor. Well, in the UK, a non-domiciled citizen is exempt from paying taxes on overseas income, so technically no laws were broken. According to a Labour List, which is a Labour supporting news website, the first advert released focused on the record of Conservatives in handling crime. This video has already been viewed over 21 million times. Well, according to the Labour Party, almost 4,500 adults convicted of sexually assaulting children under the age of 16 did not witness any prison time. Well, critics, they have termed this Labour approach as gutter politics. Now, Starmer has defended the advert. The Labour leader says he stands by every word of it. Well, later today, Starmer is also expected to take on Sunak for wasting public money in his message to the shadow cabinet. The Tory government has battled this criticism by pointing at the UK's economic growth last year, where it seems to have performed better than other big economies. Well, for more on this, we have Nicholas here, Nugent, the senior journalist and former BBC editor as well, joining us live from London. Good to see you, Nicholas. So what is this? Is it clever marketing or gutter politics?
Well, I think it's probably both of those. I think you need to understand the context. We have a general election due before the end of next year. Now, that's quite a long time ahead, so it's a bit early for this vituperative sort of campaign to have begun. But we've also got local elections in 3 weeks, so I think that explains the timing. It certainly would appear to be gutter politics. The Labour Party are picking on what they perceive to be the weaknesses of the current government of Rishi Sunak, and they've rather personalised it. That's why it goes down to the gutter, as it were. They picked on two issues so far. We expect there might be more. One is about the number of convictions for rape as compared with the number of complaints of rape. The conviction rate is still pretty low. And secondly, as you pointed out, the wealth of the Prime Minister, and particularly of his wife, who enjoys this so-called non-dom status. So, yes, we're down in the gutter, but I think I should point out that both these issues risk reverberating on the Labour Party, the opposition who hope to be the government after the next election. Because, in the case of rapes, the leader of the Labour Party is the former Director of Public Prosecutions, and the Conservative Party being quick to point out that the level of convictions during his tenure as Director of Public Prosecutions was even lower. So arguably they're pointing the finger back and saying, well, what did you do about it? You didn't do very much about it. Arguably, the Conservatives have increased the level of conviction of rates. And I might say there's a particular aspect on this that the Labour Party are criticising a statement that the Prime Minister made, which appears to suggest he doesn't think all rapists should go to prison. So that's what they have focused on. But as I said, it could well reverberate around the Labour Party as well. On the second issue about non-dom status, it was, after all, a Labour government, Tony Blair's government, that introduced non-dom status. In other words, gave concessions to rich non-Brits, if I can put it like that, who got most of their income from overseas investments. And that's where the Prime Minister's wife has until recently been benefiting from this concession of the tax system. Once it became public last year, she quickly, or the Prime Minister quickly said, OK, we will not claim the rights associated with that privilege. Labour Party are saying, well, you should abolish non-dom status. Everybody should be taxed according to the same rules. So, as I said, it was a Labour government that introduced non-dom status, and it seems like the Conservatives are not ready to end it. And having said that, another aspect is that Keir Starmer, the leader of the Labour Party, is quite wealthy himself, benefiting from the sort of state pension that most people in the country don't get. So there are multiple reasons why this vituperative campaign by the Labour Party could reverberate on Labour itself. But so far, the indications are, the Labour Party are telling us that the campaign's going quite well. They think they're winning voters by drawing attention to these aspects, and particularly to Akasha Murthy, Prime Minister's wife's non-dom status. They think that's a vote winner. We won't have long to wait to know whether that's right or not, because, as I said, the local elections are early in May, and we will see how the campaign's going. But currently, Labour Party are way ahead in the polls, giving them the expectation that they will form the next government before the end of next year. So the campaign for the big one, for the general election, has started. And I think it's only going to get grimier and dirtier as time goes on.
I think you're quite right there. No prisoners. Thank you so much indeed. You've covered a lot of ground for us today, so we appreciate that. That's Nicholas Nugent there, senior journalist, a former BBC editor with us today, live from London. The UK's National Health Service, or NHS, braces for the most disruptive walkout in its history as junior doctors across England are expected to stage a 4-day strike. Well, more than 250,000 appointments and operations are expected to be cancelled, with some hospitals reporting that almost half of all the planned treatments are likely to be disrupted. Well, according to NHS estimates, between 250,000 and 350,000 appointments and operations could be cancelled. However, the union said doctors will report back to duty if lives are at immediate danger. Well, the junior doctors' approach is diametrically opposite to recent strikes by nurses and doctors, as they exempted certain emergency services. Well, Health Secretary Steve Barclay accused unions of timing the strike just after Easter weekend, as many hospitals are expected to see a surge in demand. Barclay has termed junior doctors' demand of 35% hike in pay as unreasonable. Well, last month, a 72-hour strike by junior doctors led to more than 175,000 patient appointments and procedures being cancelled in England. Junior doctors represent nearly half of the medical workforce in England. Well, for more, our correspondent Alex Isaac is joining us live from London. Alex, good to see you. So 4 days, the biggest strike in NHS history. How much of an issue is this going to be?
Well, the NHS themselves, leaders, have been saying that they are very worried, specifically because it comes after the 4-day weekend when services were at a minimum anyway, and then following on for another 4 days of the junior doctors being on strikes. They are expecting for some disruption to patients. You talked about cancellations there of appointments. Those appointments that have been backdated since COVID still haven't got a space. Then we had the doctors and nurses strike, and now we've got another one. So all of those procedures are ongoing, and at the moment there is a real problem within the NHS as there aren't enough doctors and there aren't enough those NHS workers coming into the jobs themselves. So BMA, the British Medical Association, who are behind these strikes in England, have said that they will ensure there are contingency plans, and as you rightly said just there, if anything happens emergency wise, they will take doctors off the picket lines, junior doctors off picket lines, and make sure that they can go in to the hospital to cover those shifts. So they are expecting to be able to make sure that all patients are safe. The NHS are still worried. At the moment, the Health Secretary, Steve Barclay, won't come to the table to discuss the pay that they're asking for, that 35% increase. He says that he won't talk to them about pay unless the strikes are called off. Well, that was obviously on the weekend as well. He hasn't really said anything today, and it looks like the strikes are going ahead, but whether or not they'll stay for the extra 3 days from now will be seen, unless Health Secretary Steve Barclay comes to the table to talk to the BMA and to discuss pay going forward.
Alex, thank you so much. It certainly sounds lively where you are. I know we'll be checking in with you throughout the day on those junior doctor strikes. That's Alex Isaac there, live from London. US President Joe Biden is all set to arrive in Belfast later today. Biden's visit will mark the 25th anniversary of the 1998 Good Friday Agreement. But the visit comes at a very sensitive time. Earlier, a group of masked protesters attacked a police vehicle with petrol bombs as they opposed the Good Friday Peace Accord. Signed in Belfast on the 10th of April in 1998, the Good Friday Agreement is considered one of the most significant peace deals of the late 20th century, seeking to end 3 decades of sectarian strife that killed more than 3,600 people. Well, the 1998 peace deal ended Northern Ireland's decades-long violent conflict known as the Troubles. The peace has come under strain, but following Britain's exit from the European Union, it's now back in focus, another political crisis now overshadowing this week's commemorations. US President Joe Biden is known for his decades-long pro-Irish views. Biden is expected to meet representatives from 5 Northern Irish parties. Meanwhile, Northern Ireland's Democratic Unionist Party has said Biden's visit will not force its end to the protest at pro-Brexit trade rules. They oppose the situation. Now, Biden is also expected to lure close investment ties between the US and Northern Ireland as an effort to encourage the end of a deadlock between the UK and Northern Ireland. Meanwhile, away from politics, a small village hopes for better tourism opportunities. Well, the people of Whitestown are proud to see an Irish-origin US president. They are proud of the fact that Biden's forefathers originated from this village, which they had to leave after the Great Irish Famine in the late 1940s.
So, yeah, it's great to see that Joe is the president of America now, and I would never have thought that me from the northern side, Drummondtee, and Turlock here from the southern side, Cooley, that we would have had such a close connection.
We're very proud that Joe, come from Cooley, his ancestral home, is now the president of America. It's an unbelievable feeling, and the community is so proud of him.
Japan is all set to chair a host of 7 financial leaders meeting on Wednesday in Washington. Well, the aim is to discuss the global economy and the financial markets. The strengthening of supply chains as well will feature, and Ukraine crisis. Well, according to officials, the G7, which includes Britain, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, the United States and Japan, will reaffirm its solidarity in providing financial support to Ukraine. Now, apart from this, Tokyo also wants to explain its financial support for Ukraine to G7 peers, as Japan proceeds with legal revisions needed to provide loans and other measures to back the war-torn country. So in a statement, Japan's finance minister said, and I'm quoting here, "As we lead the debate as the G7 chair, we will exchange frank opinions about recent market developments and inflation," further asserting on how Japan would want to maintain close coordination on international cooperation in strengthening supply chains. The G7 financial leaders meeting will be held on the sidelines of International Monetary Fund and World Bank annual gatherings as well.
Our countries through this crisis. I think working together in this meeting can be a significant moment for us of the critical levers we need our help. And we must also over time turn our attention to the transition to net zero will be one of the defining economic stories of the next decade.
Okay, let's get some sport now, and the Champions League quarter-finals will throw out a real heavyweight clash later on today. English champions Manchester City host their German counterparts Bayern Munich in the first leg of what promises to be a fascinating tie. Bayern are European royalty, while City are still searching for their first European title. Pep Guardiola's side are coming into the match on the back of a 4-1 win over Southampton. That was their 8th win in a row. Erling Haaland again stole the limelight as he took his goal tally to 44 for the season. The Norwegian has been in full flow ever since he joined City in the summer, and against Bayern, he will be Pep Guardiola's go-to man. The 22-year-old enjoys a solid record against the German giants, having scored 5 times in 7 games. But he was on the losing side, though, would you believe, for each one of those.
Yeah, Erling is so important for us. I cannot deny it. So how many goals and how influential it is, but it's the same. He came, of course, to help us to be here in the Champions League to try to win it, but at the same time to, you know, in the same times to help us in daily, in the FA Cup, in the Premier League as well. So.
But is it different in these very tight big matches to be able to get you over the line?
Yeah, of course, it's important to have a player like from nothing can score a goal. So of course, it's important.
Well, another storyline that will unfold in this match will be the battle between Pep Guardiola and Thomas Tuchel. The Spaniard has an opposite dugout when City lost to Chelsea in the 2021 Champions League final. Well, the German will again be forming plans to end Guardiola's hopes of tasting continental success when City face their biggest test in Europe so far. Guardiola knows that the Champions League is what his owners want, and he drew an interesting analogy to explain the drought.
Yesterday played a master, Jack Nicklaus. How many masters or how many great majors have played in his career? How many? In the 30, 40 years as a golfer. 30 years for 4 majors, like it's the Champions League in comparison. How many? 120? 130? How many won? 18. Wow. How many? 18 with 130. He loses more than the win. That is a sport. In football, in golf, in basketball. Michael Jordan, the best athlete for me, basketball, football player, won 6 NBA titles. How many years played? 16. He lose more than win. So this game, all games, they are so difficult. The important is to be here and compete well, do our best.
Well, Bayern have been unconvincing domestically, and Tuchel has had a mixed start. Bayern's leaky defence will be a prime concern against City, who have scored 31 times in the last 8 games. The German champions have kept just 6 clean sheets in their last 16 matches, conceding 2 or more on 5 occasions.
I have to earn the confidence of the players every day, every single day, especially when you step into a new dressing room. And so this is the situation right now. We did not mention this final with one word, and I will not do it. That would feel very awkward for me when to do this. We focus now on our team. We did not have a lot of days to prepare this match. I would have wished for some more weeks, for some more months maybe, to understand our team better, and we don't have it, so no problem.
Okay, let's delve into the world of entertainment then now, shall we? It was indeed a good weekend for the global box office. The Super Mario Brothers movie blew past expectations in its weekend debut. Well, the movie, it collected $377 million globally and $204.6 million in the US between Wednesday and Sunday. Well, with this, the movie became, while critics may not have liked the film very much, family audiences worldwide, well, they were waiting eagerly for the much anticipated animated film. Well, the Super Mario Brothers movie is an origin story of the Brooklyn Plumbers, the Mario Brothers. Chris Pratt gave voice to Mario and Charlie Day gave voice to Luigi in the adaptation. The film, it brings back Nintendo's most famous characters like Bowser and Princess Peach. Thank you so much indeed for your company. Stay tuned to WION. More international headlines coming up for you shortly. Goodbye.
WION now.
Gravitas tells you stories which others won't. And tonight we will tell you about this new strategic map that is being drawn.
They say your enemy's enemy is your friend. Is that the foundation of the new defense bridge between India and America?
This is what separates us from others who claim to be telling you global stories that matter.